Welcome to the Solar Builder Buzz. Here we'll give our 2 cents per kilowatt hour on top storylines in the residential and commercial solar market. Joining me today is Jeremy Belej, Senior Strategic Success Manager at Aurora Solar, the top solar sales and design platform in the industry. And before we get into today's topic, which is kind of looking at the labor market in solar and getting workers up to speed, I was just hoping you could explain a little bit about what a Senior Strategic Success Manager does.
My role here at Aurora is to work with actually some of our biggest customers and how they leverage our software into different parts of their workflow.
So I was hoping you could maybe relay what you're hearing from your installer customers right now about the labor market.
Like you said, there are obviously a lot of areas where folks are looking for more and more talent and more resources. Kind of the things that we've heard is that the demand for solar installations keeps growing, and a lot of folks are challenged to keep pace with that. Timelines for installations sometimes get longer because there's just too much work to be done, but it is improving.
It seems to me like going forward, maybe solar might have a leg up over traditional skilled trades, like plumbing, for example, or, not to degrade plumbers in any way, but this is like maybe a more cool technology focused, future focused industry that might, just generate some buzz, if you will, going forward.
The traditional trades are continue to be super valuable, but I think that as far as the tracts and education to become skilled at that trade, they're well established. Whereas with solar, I think those things are still trying to keep up and to evolve in order to make sure that demand is met and that we have the right training and apprenticeship programs or what have you that some of the other trades do. For example, I don't know to what degree community colleges are have solar installer programs or not. But once you start seeing those, I think you'll start seeing a much greater growth opportunities for that to happen at scale, for installers to be certified, to be seen as a viable path from a younger age.
Jeremy, do you feel like, are there any roles in particular where you are finding installers might need more help? Like maybe roles where you think they need more help and they don't realize it yet?
I'm not boots on the ground, but I think that folks often are looking for skilled installers that are able to get up on roofs, people who have cleared the levels and or certifications in order to be able to do that. Then it's a matter of finding those folks, finding the right companies to be aligned with and to grow with.
In my mind, the department that'd be the easiest to onboard new employees or to grow would be in that sales and possibly design area, at least in theory, because it requires software, right? Instead of ladder and lag bolts. But, that could be just me because I'm a soft sweater wearing type of guy. But I don't know. Do you feel like that's bearing out?
I think here at Aurora, we would agree because we are the software provider. So that's what we're seeing the most is the folks who are adopting our products typically are on the sales or design side. In fact, almost entirely. We do have some neat tools that are further downstream on the permitting side. But with sales, the reason why sales is such a growing part of the business, the industry really, is because you need those sales in order to have those projects be installed. It is super easy for folks to get on board with that. The software is there to make that a little bit easier for them. And then it's a matter of finding the folks who are motivated to meet with individuals, to walk them through what a solar project would look like and get them to commit to it. It can be challenging for a lot of folks to navigate that correctly and to do it for a long time. Obviously, integrity is a big piece in making sure that folks sell the correct things and a solution that works for folks for their home. Our software helps to do that, obviously. But there's all types of different folks who are in that side of the business and different structures. And I think that part of the business is maturing and getting a little bit more standardized.
Because the other part of this is, while it might be the easier path to getting a new employee in the doors through the sales and design side, that a lot of things can go wrong there, right? The accuracy of that proposal and that sales pitch is crucial and sets up everything that goes from there. So since you are often onboarding people onto your software, I guess what are keys to training personnel in the sales and design side, and maybe get into some of the common mistakes made in training and onboarding process as well?
Sure. From on the sales side, I think at the end of the day, it is about an accurate tool that you're utilizing. With any software, there's usually a learning curve. The key there is to take the time to make sure that the employees and the sales reps who are going to be interacting with your sales workflow understand it from tip to tail. Explaining the why, I think, is important. Oftentimes folks can skip over that, and then it's just trying to get to as many sales meetings as possible, kind of a numbers game. But truly where we see the folks who benefit the most and who are able to do this for a long period of time are understanding the why and how to speak to homeowners in a way to build confidence. And you use that through, accurate tools who can show you why a particular design is designed in a certain way. So for example, in the Northern Hemisphere, most modules you'll want will be placed on the south-facing roof planes, and explaining those pieces to homeowners as to why that is. Are there animation tools within the product that is showing how the sun will, go over the house on a daily basis and why that matters? What the shading threats are, be it trees, be it obstructions, other homes, maybe it's a chimney or what have you, and explaining why that matters, and partial shading, the TSRF of a roof. All those pieces are important for a sales rep to understand in order to communicate that to a homeowner. I think a lot of homes are getting more and more electrified. Everybody's demand is going to keep going up. So making sure that a design is correctly projected to be a good fit for that homeowner for a long period of time. And the only way you get there is by understanding what the design is, what the output is, and how to possibly even be flexible with that design to meet the customer's needs.
With these positions that we're talking about on kind of the sales and design side, given the tools available, what are you seeing trend-wise in terms of these positions being in-home versus virtual sales, like remote positions versus in-office?
Actually, I'd say that there's probably no standard way. So within one organization, you can have folks who are knocking on doors, setting up appointments, somebody else coming in to do a consultation at home or at the kitchen table. And then you have folks who might want to do that virtually just because their team might be further removed. They think that they could do a few more meetings that way. Then there's also another avenue where folks might be looking for a little bit more of a self-serve experience, the homeowner, that is. I think there is value in each of those. But that being said, I think the last 2 years, if they've taught us anything, that a lot of things can be achieved virtually, just like this call. The same could be done for an at-home consultation.
I was also curious if you were seeing any of your customers cross-training, or if you have examples of some unique ways that installers are kind of cross-purposing departments.
What Aurora is very fortunate is that we have customers of all sizes and all types of operations. So from the super large publicly traded companies that have massive sales forces and or installation teams, down to small operations that are, could be one or two people. And so we've seen everything under the sun. There are folks who both install and sell, and there are folks who do even more than that, that also do the submission of plans and get all the permitting done as well. So there are definitely folks who wear all the hats in an organization. There are folks who wear multiple hats. And then there are folks that really specialize and have a very narrow focus. But the beauty is that in today's day, you can do any of those things depending on what your organization needs.
Very good. Because sometimes the labor issue sometimes can just be a company issue, I feel. And so kind of continuing down that path, what are maybe some departmental or workflow inefficiencies that can lead a contractor to wasting labor hours that could be better spent elsewhere, or maybe wasting time on on that sales funnel?
That's the key in any for any company, is doing away with some inefficiencies and seeing where you can spend less time waiting and more time really executing. So there's a few places, I think, in the customer life cycle or in the sales journey where there are areas where you can improve. I think qualifying leads better is a key thing to getting, once somebody puts their hand up saying, hey, I'm interested in learning what solar might do for my home, and getting a consultation with them for them to review those designs. I think the time you shorten that, the better. In fact, I think the data will prove out that you're much more likely to find a satisfied and customer that will purchase. the sooner you get to them after they put their hand up. And then one of the big things you'll hear in solar is reducing change orders. The company has to go back to the customer to confirm that the change is, they're agreeable to that change. And oftentimes you may have to do another agreement to reflect that change. And there might be implications on price, might be implications on any financing that was secured. The more you can reduce those and hopefully down to 0 times, the better experience it is for the customer, the quicker it is from a sale to an install. And really, at the end of the day, the realization rate, or the likelihood that it's actually going to be installed on the roof and connected to the power grid, that becomes much more likely.
Installers can't really be job creators in certain areas until their city or region wants solar, right? And that can take a ton of marketing resources, customer acquisition resources, which can raise costs and all that. So again, just curious if you have tips for installers that are starting up in lower demand areas.
I think it's a very difficult question to sort through as to what are any silver bullets or what have you.
I know you got a couple, maybe they're bronze bullets, but I'm sure you got a
Yeah.
couple in your chamber here, something you know about.
Sure. At the end of the day, I think the ability to leverage technology to make things easier for you is a great way of possibly realizing success with little investment. And what I mean there is, can you broaden your reach? Can you qualify folks from different areas to hopefully then vet out where the demand might be? And that allows you to then understand where you should spend some time in the near term to see if you can find some customers in that area. As far as spending time with local authorities and making sure that they are open to solar, that's a little bit more challenging, but probably the best thing to do is to reach out to other folks in the industry. Who else is having success there? Is there anything that they can be doing, lending a voice?
Sometimes people in the workforce don't want just a job, right? They want a career. They want to feel like there's more to what they're doing or a path to even advance. How can a solar contractor, provide careers for its employees, not just jobs?
And in the renewables sector in general, I think there's so many interesting and neat things that are happening. And I think a lot of folks are interested in this industry largely because of the impact that it can have on not only our local, but also our global footprint. With that, there's a few things that I think that will be happening over time that will be beneficial to local economies. So for example, a lot of incentives now for the manufacturing of solar components that are, if they're done in the US, there's a lot of benefits that a company can realize by using local and domestically generated components. So how that boils down to folks who may be running their own installation companies, telling folks that there is a future that is sustainable for them in this industry, and painting a picture that, yeah, you might work with us for a bit and we will train you up so that you could possibly do many different things within our organization as we grow, but also saying that, listen, if for some reason you need to move on from where we are, this is an industry in which you can build a future. It's probably going to grow in ways that we can't even plan right now.
Jeremy, as we're wrapping up here, considering everything we just talked about, maybe what's one department or position solar installers should invest more resources in right now that will pay the most dividends going forward?
I say this completely out of a place of honesty, and where I believe the best return on investment is in the design tooling that you use or the design process that you have. And the reason for that is the more accurate your designs are, the more likely they are to be that way when you install, and the more friction you're removing from the process. And those friction points are really what make it inefficient and costly over time. So if you want to reduce your price per watt as far as an installer, then you want to do that at every step of the way to get to that installed project sooner. So the more you focus on a clean and repeatable design process, the more likely you're going to see that benefit downstream and ultimately reflected in your overall value.
Well, that was at least 2 cents per kilowatt, I would say. So, Jeremy, thanks for taking the time and joining us on Solar Builder Buzz.
Really appreciate it.